Okay, thank you, Erica. I'm Kate Ingle.
And I'm Amelia Kim. So, as you just heard, we all face a critical challenge. How do we continue to feed people while protecting the land? And who better to shape our solutions than the people living that challenge every day, the farmers? Now, there's no official definition of regenerative agriculture. So, our working definition is that it's a resilient food system that improves physical, economic, and community well-being. This includes any agricultural practices that improve soil, community, and environmental health. Our goal is to facilitate the scaling of regenerative agriculture by highlighting the farmers' voices. Our work will inform farmers, policymakers, consumers, and agricultural organizations. As of now, we're not even halfway through our project. We've interviewed around 30 farmers so far from Maryland to South Carolina. Our research is ethnographic and multimedia, and we're continuing with a film, ethnography, website, and resource guide. With what we've learned so far, we developed a model to explain how any given farmers make their decisions.
Firstly, there has to be an input. Think of this model as existing within a matrix of ever-changing circumstances. That's the landscape. Next, we came up with three big categories that the input gets filtered through. There's the farmer's identity, which is considered temporally and applied to the farmer's demographics, beliefs, land, family, community, knowledge, and self-image. Second is influences, which are measured along a spectrum of personal connection. And lastly, there's resources divided into capital, information, and network. So our input has been plucked out of the landscape and has cycled through our three categories some number of times. Eventually, it will become a decision. We've categorized decisions into three kinds: livelihood, how do I make a living? Affirmation, where do I get the answers I trust? And farming, how do I run my farm? We want to hit home that everything on this model is fluid and that decisions feed back into the landscape of new inputs to be considered. This brings us to one of our key findings.
There are universal constraints, but no universal solutions. Everyone inherits certain constraints. Farmers inherit methods and ideologies from parents or mentors. They are given exact blueprints, often dictated by tradition. Consumers live in a world of universal availability. The consumer habit of buying, regardless of location or season, keeps local food waste suppressed. Academics are often bound by institutional bureaucracy, which can leave them a decade or more behind.
The second half of this finding introduces the dichotomy. Farmers are intensely individual. They defy categorization and often don't agree with each other. For example, who counts as a farmer? Farmers do not agree. So how can a single solution work for me just because it worked for a homesteader or for someone in a different climate zone? Policymakers and researchers continue to overlook these particularities, relying on broader generalizations to shape policy and practice. But we do have some solutions, all of which work by reframing the narrative to support a more holistically regenerative future.
So first, we have more, not bigger. So we began our research with the common preconception that scaling up means converting big conventional agriculture, represented by the square, to big regenerative agriculture, represented by the circle. However, farmers have said that we need to focus on supporting the little guy. So through education of local farmers, regenerative entrepreneurs, and consumers, we can shift the market, letting industrial agriculture die out.
Second, farmer-led innovation. We've repeatedly heard that land-grant institutions are years behind farmer innovations, yet these institutions hold most of the capital. For example, one farmer proposed the solution of the flipped grant model. Typically, grants set a premise and the farmers must conform to it. In the flipped model, a pool of funds is offered and farmers submit their own ideas, tailoring solutions to their specific environments.
Third, we have storytelling. Most farmers supported education as a solution, but traditional education is often unevenly distributed and entangled with issues of accountability. Storytelling bridges that gap, educating the farmer, the consumer, the academic, and the policymaker all at once. The keys are transparency, accessibility, and personal relevance.
We're telling multimedia stories with an ethnographic mindset, but the form matters less than the approach. When stories are told that reflect real individual and community truths, people listen, they learn, and they act. We want to leave you with something one of our farmers said. He brings into focus exactly the kind of perspective necessary to build resilient food systems in the future.
You're taking an interest in this space. That's actionable. That's regenerative. Because it's not just me, it's you. That's generating to the next group. That's the next evolution. And so for me, that's regenerative because it's never ending. We just wanted to say a big thank you to the Layne family, to Professor Swaddle, to the IIC, and to all the farmers who continue to make our project possible. Thank you for listening.